For years, it just sat there, rusting, forgotten. A private jet that once carried millionaires across continents, now swallowed by weeds and silence, its windows fogged with decay, its engines long stripped for parts, and its cabin, the one that used to smell like leather and champagne, now filled with nothing but dust and dead leaves. But what if that abandoned shell wasn't the end of the story? What if it was the beginning of one of the most jaw-dropping homes you've ever seen? Today, we're reimagining a forgotten private jet as a full-blown luxury mansion. Stick around, because before this video ends, you'll see the breathtaking design, hear the real dollar figures behind builds like this, and learn about a structural problem so strange that most homeowners will never encounter it in their entire lives. Before we climb inside, hit that like button and subscribe if you love seeing abandoned things turned into dream homes. It genuinely helps this channel grow. And drop a comment. Would you actually live in a cliffside tiny home built from a fuselage like this one? I read every single comment, so let me know. A jet with nowhere left to fly every year. Airlines retire hundreds of aircraft. Most are stripped for parts and scrapped within months. In fact, industry estimates suggest roughly 3 commercial planes are decommissioned and destroyed every single day. So when a private jet escapes that fate and just sits abandoned instead, it's already an outlier, a machine too valuable to melt down, but too obsolete to fly. Why some planes survive? Sometimes it's a bankruptcy. Sometimes it's a legal dispute over ownership. And sometimes the plane simply belonged to someone famous, and no one had the heart to scrap it. That's exactly what happened to Elvis Presley's own private jet, a 1962 Lockheed JetStar that sat abandoned on a desert tarmac in Roswell, New Mexico for roughly 40 years before a YouTuber bought it in 2023 and hauled it more than 1,600 miles to Florida to begin its second life. Stories like that are exactly why our concept begins the same way. A private jet, once a symbol of luxury, left to rot for years until someone looks past the rust and sees a mansion instead. More than just a novelty, it's easy to assume this is just a stunt for social media clout. But the people actually living inside converted aircraft will tell you it's about something deeper, rejecting the idea that a home has to look like every other home on the block. The sustainability argument. Bruce Campbell, a retired electrical engineer in Hillsboro, Oregon, has lived inside a converted Boeing 727 since the early 2000s. His argument is simple: aerospace-grade aluminum is stronger and more corrosion-resistant than most residential building materials, and reusing an airframe that would otherwise be shredded keeps thousands of pounds of metal out of the waste stream. The freedom from debt, and then there's the financial angle. Campbell has said his entire cost of living, including the plane itself, works out to a fraction of a typical mortgage payment, reportedly under $400 a month once the aircraft was paid off. For plenty of people chasing an unconventional life, that kind of freedom is the whole point. Part of a bigger movement. Zoom out, and this fits right alongside the Barndominium and tiny home movement we cover every week on this channel. People looking at overlooked structures, whether it's a steel barn shell or a grounded jet, and seeing a blank canvas instead of a teardown. No straight lines allowed. Here's the first challenge that separates this from every other home renovation. A fuselage has almost no flat surfaces. Every wall curves. Every ceiling arcs overhead. Designers working on real aircraft to villa conversions have said this openly. Standard furniture, standard cabinetry, even standard drywall simply doesn't fit. Everything has to be custom built to hug the curve of the plane. The cockpit becomes the crown jewel in nearly every real-world jet-to-home conversion. The cockpit becomes the most dramatic room in the house. On Bali's famous private jet villa, a decommissioned Boeing 737 perched nearly 500 feet above the ocean. Designers turned the cockpit into a bathroom suite, with a circular soaking tub surrounded by the original instrument panels and panoramic windows. For our mansion concept, imagine that same cockpit reimagined as a private study or a sunrise lounge, floor-to-ceiling glass where the windshield used to be, and the original control yoke kept purely as a design centerpiece. Turning cargo holds into utility space below the cabin, the old cargo holds aren't wasted either. In real conversions, that space typically houses the air conditioning units, electrical wiring, and plumbing lines, all the unglamorous infrastructure tucked out of sight so the main cabin stays open and clean. Mirrors, light, and the illusion of space. Because a fuselage is naturally narrow, designers lean heavily on strategically placed mirrors and glass inserts to make the space feel wider than it is, while also letting natural light flow between rooms that would otherwise feel like narrow tubes. Wings and landing gear as outdoor living, even the parts most homeowners would think are useless get repurposed. Some conversions turn a severed wing section into a shaded terrace or an outdoor bar top, and the landing gear housing becomes a sunken fire pit, a way of honoring what the aircraft used to be, instead of erasing it completely. It's not as simple as parking a plane. Turning a jet into a home is a genuine engineering project, not a weekend DIY job. The aircraft first has to be stripped of hazardous materials, its wings and tail typically removed for transport, and then it needs a permanent foundation strong enough to keep an 80,000+ pound structure from shifting. Building a foundation for a flying machine, once the fuselage reaches its final site, it has to be securely anchored, usually onto steel supports or a concrete base, since a plane was never engineered to bear its own weight while sitting still on the ground for decades. Some designers even mount aircraft homes on rotating pedestals so the structure can weathervane and reduce wind stress, an idea patented by at least one American inventor working with 737s and even a full A380. The unexpected challenge nobody warns you about. Here's the twist most people never see coming. A metal fuselage acts like a Faraday-cage, the same principle that shields a microwave. Once you seal the doors and windows, cell signal and Wi-Fi can drop dramatically inside, which means real conversions often need external antennas and signal boosters wired straight through the aircraft skin just to get a phone call to connect. Weatherproofing, a machine built for the sky, not the ground. Aircraft skin is designed to handle pressurized, high-altitude flight, which actually makes it more resistant to corrosion than most home-building materials. But it was never designed to handle standing rainwater or ground moisture. So real conversions add sealed roofing systems and drainage specifically engineered for the fuselage's curved profile. Fire, structural, and access considerations, because the cabin is essentially a sealed metal tube, ventilation and emergency egress become major design priorities. New door openings, reinforced stairways, and updated electrical systems all have to meet residential code, not aviation code, before anyone can legally live inside. Fighting City Hall, and then there's the paperwork problem. Local zoning boards rarely have a category for converted aircraft, which means owners often spend months, sometimes years, working with permitting offices just to get the structure legally classified as a habitable residence. It's one of the least glamorous parts of the process, and one of the most common reasons these projects stall out entirely. The aircraft itself is the cheap part. Here's a number that surprises most people. Retired aircraft fuselages have sold for anywhere between roughly $50,000 and $300,000, depending on the model, condition, and whether wings and landing gear are included. Bruce Campbell's Boeing 727, for comparison, cost him about $100,000 back in 1999. Transport is where the real money goes. Moving a fuselage is often more expensive than buying it. Campbell spent close to $80,000 to $120,000 just on dismantling the wings, securing oversized load permits, and trucking the plane to its final site. For our mansion concept, positioned on a dramatic hillside, transport and site preparation would likely land in that same range or higher. Interior build-out, tens of thousands and up. Smaller aircraft to Airbnb conversions have reported spending tens of thousands of dollars just on interior restoration, new electrical systems, lighting, sound, and plumbing. A full luxury mansion build-out with custom curved cabinetry, a cockpit bathroom suite, and premium finishes throughout would realistically push total project costs well into six figures and potentially past $500,000 for a true luxury result. Going off the grid, because these homes often sit on remote land, cliffs, forests, hillsides. Most real conversions pair the fuselage with solar panels, a septic system, and a private well, since running municipal utilities out to a one-of-a-kind location is rarely practical or affordable. That adds its own separate budget line before the home is truly livable. Compared to buying new, put that in perspective. A brand new private jet of comparable size to the ones being converted can cost $50 million or more. Even a fully luxury mansion conversion, built for a fraction of 1% of that price, still delivers something no factory-built home ever could. A one-of-a-kind story built into every rivet. 3 planes a day, we mentioned it earlier, but it's worth repeating. An estimated 3 commercial aircraft are decommissioned and destroyed every single day worldwide. Every conversion like this one is a rescue story hiding inside a design story. A jet that once carried royalty. Some converted aircraft have genuinely wild histories. One Boeing 727 now serving as a residence in Oregon once carried the remains of Greek shipping magnate Aristotle Onassis in 1975, decades before it ever became a home. You can rent one tonight. That Bali Cliffside Boeing 737 we mentioned isn't a concept, it's real. It's called the Private Jet Villa, and it rents for up to roughly $7,300 a night, with guests reaching it via a floating staircase built onto the wing. A whole 3-bedroom house from a single jet, and it's not just single suite villas. Recent conversions have gone as far as transforming a full Douglas DC-9 into a 3-bedroom home, proving that a single retired aircraft can comfortably house an entire family, not just a couple on vacation. No two curves are the same, and here's the detail almost nobody thinks about. Because every single panel of a fuselage curves differently, designers can't mass-produce fixtures for these homes. Every mirror frame, every cabinet, every countertop edge is essentially a custom part, made once for one plane that will never exist anywhere else again. From a rusted, forgotten shell to a mansion with a cockpit bathroom, a cliffside view, and a story built into every inch of curved aluminum, this is what happens when someone looks at an abandoned private jet and refuses to see scrap metal. They see a home nobody else could ever build. So tell me in the comments, would you actually live inside a cliffside tiny home like this one? Curves, cockpit bathroom and all? Like this video if you want to see more abandoned to luxury transformations, and subscribe for more incredible tiny home and barndominium content every week. See you in the next one.